This video that you are about to watch was filmed and made back in December. And after putting it all together, I was looking at it and just didn't know where it would fit here on the channel. But then a couple weeks ago, the last week of July, this happened. And since the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards is a United States nationwide organization, pretty cool being a public school teacher from Philly and seeing your face pop up on all of their social media channels. Especially because the only reason why I found out is because I Googled my name and it popped up in the image searches. Wait, you're telling me you don't Google your own name? When I was recognized by the Pennsylvania Department of Education for receiving my National Board certification.
Wait a minute, I'm not at my drum set. I'm in my car, and I'm headed to Hershey, Pennsylvania because the Pennsylvania Department of Education is recognizing me for receiving my National Board for Professional Teaching Standards certification. And since I am a public school teacher, and it is December, that means it's winter concert season, and I have a winter concert at one of my schools. So I figured let's do a travel vlog to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of what it's like to be a public school teacher beyond the things that happen in the classroom. Yo, what's going on everybody? Nick Costa here, and it's time to do a travel vlog, which is a little bit different than the majority of the stuff that I'm doing here on the channel. And although it's a little bit different, some of you may be pursuing your teaching certifications to become a public school music educator, or maybe you were just curious as to what it is like being a public school music educator. Maybe even you are an educator yourself and you are considering your National Board certification. Either way, I wanted you all to come along with me on this journey so you can get some insight on the National Board certification and a little bit of a behind the scenes look as to what I do for the majority of my career. Now, before we dive into this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon. That way you're notified of any additional content that I upload to the channel. So some of you may already know that 80% of my career is teaching. I am currently in my 12th year of being a class instrumental music teacher, also known as a CIMT, for the School District of Philadelphia. So what does that mean? I travel to multiple schools throughout the week and do nothing but teach group drum lessons. Now, this could mean just teaching group drum lessons to get students started on the instrument. It could be lessons for students who are in various ensembles at the school. It also means running additional ensembles like drum lines, cover bands, even a DJ drum ensemble that we are trying to get off the ground this year. However, last December, I completed all of the components that were needed to receive my National Board for Professional Teaching Standards certification. Now, for those of you who might be unfamiliar with the National Board certification, it is a voluntary certification that is nationwide. And for music educators, there are two tracks you can take. One is geared towards elementary school, and then the other one is geared towards middle school and high school. Being in the School District of Philadelphia, we start our students for percussion or drum lessons in 4th grade. It only made sense for me to take the track where I am focusing on middle school and high school, because that's the majority of the schools that I am assigned to. And to give you a little bit of a backstory about how all of this came about. When I started my full-time teaching career, it was with the School District of Philadelphia, and I was also the percussion director at Villanova University. When I started in the Philly School District, this was around the time that this thing known as modern band was starting to be discussed. And my supervisor was all in on it, because when we were looking back and seeing some of the professional musicians in the industry right now who are coming from Philly, we were noticing that that traditional classroom of concert band, orchestra, choir wasn't engaging them. They were engaged in music studies with things outside of the district. This could be playing in their church, playing in their communities, along with drum lines. And if they were involved with anything music related, most of the time it was the all-city program through the jazz band. Now, mind you, I'm talking about drum set players. There's a lot of heavy hitters who came out of Philly. So my supervisor looked at that and said, if that was happening then, it's happening now. And we're missing a lot of students who are walking through our hallways right now, and they're not involved in music activities. Now, being that my background is in drum set, After being in the district for a few years, the district puts you on what they call a PDP year, which is a professional development planning year. And it's for you to do some research to see how you can come up with something that the district could use, which, long story short, just has you focusing on doing research and finding out how you can come up with curriculum or content that the district could then share with other educators in the district. So my supervisor did come to me and said, hey, this is your PDP year. You're a drum set guy. Why don't you think about making content or curriculum that could help music educators put drum set studies into the classroom? So that's exactly what I did. And that's how I came up with that drum set guide that you can get at my website. Shameless plug, there's a link in the description below. As a lot of you already know, when it comes to public schools and band programs or music programs, it's usually one person who has a primary instrument. Most of the time it is not in percussion. And they have to teach lessons as well as direct the ensembles, with the possibility of having a small team of part-time educators or friends of theirs to come in and assist with the programs. Now, when it comes to percussion or drum education, everything is geared towards marching or classical. And a lot of the educators who take methods courses when they are receiving their teaching certification are learning from individuals who have a background in marching or classical percussion. So when it comes to drum set, it is rarely covered, and if it is covered, it is a very short amount of time within those 14 weeks of a methods course. So I created this guide to just help educators with everything: setting up drums, how to tune the drums, how to maintain the equipment, gear recommendations, teaching tools like how to chart a song, introducing how to play the drum set to somebody who doesn't have a background in music, which could mean using notation that isn't your traditional music notation. So as we are starting this whole initiative, the Department of Education is watching and seeing, one, because we are one of the largest districts, if not the largest district in the state of Pennsylvania, and it's gaining traction. So then the next thing we know is that the PA Department of Education is consulting with us to see how they can implement modern band curriculum throughout the entire state of Pennsylvania. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Pennsylvania, it's a really interesting state because you have two urban cities on either side, and then it's pretty rural in the middle. And the Department of Education's concern was, if this modern band works, say in Philly or in Pittsburgh, how is it going to work in the middle of the state? So as all of this is picking up, this is why I stepped down from being the percussion director in Villanova, because I'm helping not only our district, but providing insight on drum set studies for the Department of Education to help them with this whole modern band initiative. And in return, I went after my national board certification. So I started this national board journey the 2019-2020 school year, and I got half of it done, and then the whole world shut down. Now, in the past, you had to complete your national board certification in 1 year. That is no longer the case. They give you a few years to complete all 4 components. So that 2019-2020 school year was year 1 for me. And then I deferred the next 2 years because we were virtual learning. And although National Board did adapt the components for virtual learning, I thought it would be best to wait until we returned to the classroom. So once we returned to the classroom, I submitted the other 2 components, component 3 and 4, and I did not pass. Now, since I submitted all 4 components within that submission window, National Board gives you additional years to resubmit any components that you want to. So I looked and noticed that component 4, I scored the lowest. And component 4 is all about gathering information about your students and being more of a team player in your educational environment, which is exactly what I have to do with my role because I'm in schools only 1 day a week, which means I have to interact with the other music educators in the school, other teachers, guidance counselors, parents and guardians of my students, even other individuals in the student's family, like say coaches, church leaders, just so I can get a better understanding of my students and see where they're coming from, so I can adapt my teaching so they can be successful. And that's exactly what the National Board Certification is all about. It's about reflecting on your teaching practices to see how you can meet your students' needs. So since I noticed I scored the lowest on component 4, and being that that is what I have to do with my job, I realized I just missed the mark and wasn't giving them what they needed. So I resubmitted component 4 last spring and then had to wait until December until the scores were released. and found out around this time last year that I passed. Now, the interesting thing with the National Board Certification is that you can pass every component, but not get a large enough weighted score to receive your certification. And that's exactly what happened to me the first attempt. So now I'm on my way to Hershey, Pennsylvania, because the Department of Education is recognizing everybody who received their National Board Certification last December. Here, it's now 11:23. Luncheon starts at 12 noon. So I'm gonna head in and figure out where I gotta go.
Accomplish teachers and to generate ongoing improvement in schools nationwide. Achieving National Board Certification signals to parents, schools, and policymakers that the teacher has met the profession's highest standards. Created by teachers for teachers, the National Board Standards represent a consensus among educators about what accomplished teachers should be able to know and do. Today, we have 9 of Pennsylvania's 2023 National Board Certified teachers with us. Will you please stand when I call your name and remain standing? From the School District of Philadelphia and Westchester University, Nick Costa.
All right, done. In the car, ready to make my way to Philly. It's currently 2:30, and GPS always says that it takes about 2 hours to get to the city, though it's really going to take about an hour and a half. So should be getting there around 4 o'clock or so, which is plenty of time to maybe grab something to eat before it is time to get ready, get prepared for the concert, all that fun stuff. So let's start this journey and head back east down the turnpike and get to Philly. All right, so ambulance just drove by, but in the city, have to find some food and then make my way to the school. The advantage of working in the city is that you could find food really anywhere. So gonna do that, make my way to the school, and then get ready for the concert itself. I myself am usually backstage helping out with setting up between the ensembles. Kind of part of being a drummer, or percussion teacher, or a percussionist is that you also become stage crew. So I help students just make sure that they have what they need, can get stands and seats on and off stage, transitioning from what percussion equipment has to come on and off the stage as well. However, I am very cautious with child internet safety laws and making sure that I am not showing any student faces in this video, because 1, you need a release for that, and 2, I'm not going to really be showing any students' faces because of their safety and well-being, which is a top priority for me. But before I go find food, I need to find a parking spot. And the advantage of being here early enough is finding a parking spot that makes it way easier to get out of here and not have to walk really far.
Now, part of being the percussion teacher is making sure the equipment is set up and ready to go for our students. We just received some new equipment, including this brand new professional set of timpani from Ludwig Musser, and a 4.5 octave marimba, also from Ludwig Musser. We got these 2 pieces for our program because we needed them really bad.
Well, done. In the car, heading home. And been well over 12 hours workday today. That's kind of normal for being a music educator, and being in a position like an itinerant music teacher where you are at multiple schools just means that you have to do this multiple times in a row. Instead of traveling maybe to Hershey, you have to teach a full day of lessons and all that other fun stuff, and then do your evening concerts. So you just multiply that by however many schools you are assigned to. What a fun thing to do. Just wake up every day, teach group drum lessons or facilitate drum lines or percussion ensembles and all that other fun stuff. So the positives outweigh the negatives, and the negatives aren't really that much of a negative except for pretty long work days once in a while. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog to be just a little bit different than some of the other stuff that I post on the channel. Feel free to leave some comments in the comment section below letting me know if you want to see some more stuff like this. And if that is something that does interest all of you, then that could be something that I start to do more frequently. But either way, thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, see you later.